Okay, I want to address prompt number 3, which is what is a positive memory that defined your childhood and described the setting and people involved. Uh, I had a lot of definitive positive moments in my childhood, but the one I want to talk about today happened around 1978. May 1978, which I only know because there are a few photographs, and I remember on the back of the photograph. So I was 10 years old. Characters were myself, Gigi, Lucille Ennis, my brother Richard Bear, and a really good childhood friend, Heather Udall. And the setting was somewhere outside of Oakdale. So we had gone on a road trip that day, the four of us. And that's one of the reasons I picked this memory is, one of the reasons it's definitive is because my childhood is largely defined by crazy ass road trips that my mother took me on. Day trips and week-long trips. Gigi was spontaneity personified. And once if you spent time with Gigi, which you have, you know this, right? She would get the roar on in her blood and have to go. And what she would do is just kind of scoop up whoever was in the vicinity, throw them in the car, and off you'd go, right? Like, she was kind of famous for that. So this was one of those trips. And I honestly don't know where we went that day. Like, the main part of the trip, the main destination was likely Columbia State Park. We used to go to that state park a lot and buy rock candy and climb on the rocks and just walk around. It could have been Yosemite, but I don't think so. I just know it was the foothills. And what my memory really starts on our way home from wherever we went that day. And we were taking, because it was Gigi, we were taking back roads. And so we weren't on 108, but we were winding our way back to Modesto. And off in the distance, we see this large stone abandoned building. And I don't know what it was. To this day, I don't know what it was. But, probably because I've read so much literature and too much D.H. Lawrence and too many Bronte sister books. In my mind, it was a mill. Like, the old abandoned mill, and of course, memory being what it is, right now it just looks like this huge building. And it was big. It was multi-story. It was clearly abandoned. Like, there was no glass in the windows. Some of the windows were boarded up. There was like a falling down chain link fence around the perimeter of it. And it was like way out in this field, like offset from the road by some distance. And one of us, I don't think it was Gigi, I remember looking at it and thinking, that looks super cool. And somebody suggested that we stop and explore it. And of course, Gigi, who is up for anything, was like, okay. And so, we made our way to this building, and it if I remember correctly, we had to take several roads and kind of go off-road. And I'm sure we were in Gigi's Vega or something. But we get to this building and there are no trespassing signs. So, there was an air of danger about the whole adventure. And me, I hate to get in trouble. So there was a fair amount of terror in my heart, which probably made the experience, right, really stick. But we parked and got out of the car and just explored that building. And we must have spent, 2 hours in it. Just, it had walls, but some of the walls were falling down. It had, staircases that led to nowhere. There were holes kind of punched in the building. And I've lost this photo album. I'm so bummed because I had this photo album with a great picture of my brother Richard and Heather looking through this like hole that was punched in the building, and I, either Gigi or myself had taken a picture of them, and like, sun is shining in the background through this hole. It was just cool. It was just super cool. And we were exploring it. I remember I was such a dorky little kid. I remember like scouring the ground for clues to figure out what kind of building it was and, who had been there. I was going to solve some mysteries. I'm sure there was like lots of Nancy Drew and Trixie Belden like percolating in my brain. But anyway, it was a beautiful day. It was exciting. It was spontaneous. It's definitive because I just, remember that it's being one of my mom's best mom qualities, was she was super fucking fun and spontaneous, and we were always going cool places, even if we weren't necessarily supposed to be there. And the other thing is it gave birth to this love I have for ruins. Russell's always saying, calling it ruin porn. I love ruin porn, and it's completely true. I love ruins. I love abandoned buildings. I love to photograph them. I love to be in them. I love to gaze upon them and think about what happened there, hundreds of years ago. When I first time I traveled abroad, I went with my dad, and I remember he had initially suggested we visit Spain and Portugal, which of course now I'm like, why didn't I do that? It would have been awesome. But at the time I was adamant, like, I really want to go to Ireland. I wanted to go to Ireland and Scotland and Wales and England because of this day that had sparked in my mind this like ruin lust. I wanted to explore shabby, broken down castles, which is exactly what I did. And as it turns out, I very well likely could have done that in Spain and Portugal. Anyway, it was just a great day, and I remember it fondly. I have what I think is a picture from that day. And let me see if I can get it up here. This is my dorky smile. That's me around 1978. I was 10 years old. I was hanging on to my brother, Richard. My brother, Richard died in 1987, about 10 years after this. And it's a great picture for me, and it's just a great memory of a beautiful day with 3 people I really loved. And thank you for letting me remember that.